Purple Haze. Worth noting, Hendrix downtuned a half step for pretty much everything after this album, but he played this one in normal E. So structurally, let's just get our bearings. When we learned to play scales and stuff in A minor / C, and let's think about it in that order right now. If we were up around the 10th fret, here's our A right there. We've got our 3 of these in a row on top of our going with all the pinky reaches and shit. And this out in front of it with this loose box right here that contains so it's like we just moved everything from starting at the 10th fret to starting at the 5th fret, and now we're going and with all this stuff out in front of it. So G major, E minor, if you were going to solo against this whole thing, you could picture G major, which is E minor, and play any of your diatonic or pentatonics. Either way, that's where we are on the fretboard and everything we play is there. So, first one, it's just so we know how to go. So, first thing he goes is just, and they're sounding like single notes, not like a chord. And he doesn't slide to that first one like most people do. He does it on the second time. And the thing is like held a vibrato on that last note. You know, try to really copy out his sounds. And then we get this slide that sounds like 1. Then we decided we'd slide with our ring finger to that this time. So it's like slide. But it sounded virtually identical to a hammer-on. And that's what he does next time. So we just went. I'm going to kind of encourage you to leave out the and go put them in after the fact, just because you can totally go. It might be unnecessarily distracting, and it's still totally fun to just play the riff without the. So that's just the order of operations I would suggest. So anyway, we were just like, and we just went, and then hella vibrato on that, and then we do slide to our this time, and what I wrote on the page was slidey thing, and then quotation marks as in the same thing above it. And then our next one, as opposed, right here we were going legato, like a chord, and now we're doing the complete opposite. We get, so in the first one we wanted you to anticipate by barring 2 strings when you went, but now we can't do that because we need to sound as a single note, and then these 2 are together for a split second before we do that. You asked me there, does the E string keep ringing out? It would be alright either way. You should be able to go and barely make contact with the E string when you're just doing this, you know. Now it is a hammer-on, or your index finger could be touching them anyway. But it would also just sound fine to be like, but still ringing out. And then we get our, then we get our, so that's really super straightforward. There we go, same 3-4 notes we were playing earlier. And then we get our, that, we probably like power chord, and only because of the next note being a slide from that position. He probably just goes like, and then because it's an open string, well, I think for us we'll go, because the next notes. Anyway, so we want single notes. Cool. So there's the last one, which just. And then we get our. And then we're right back to the initial structure we were in, going. Yeah, and then. So there we are. There we go. Single note slide. So yeah, and how much attack he uses is really the story of this. I'll do the whole thing once for funsies. Cool, so then we get to this, where it's totally just a standard down up down up exactly the way you're doing it. Just listen for where he's accenting. It's got this like the thing you were like, how is he making it sound that washy way? It's the when he hits downstrokes. So take a crack at trying to make it sound like his, and we'll get more analytical about it next time. But either way, we've got our, which is pretty much it. That's. And what I'm doing differently is I'm hitting the low end of the instrument sometimes, the high end of the instrument sometimes, and everything sometimes. So that's kind of what he's actually doing. Is like like that, where the grip is just the same, but you could totally just be like, and it'll totally sound good. And what's more, that's a way more normal thing to do, but he just did. Cool. So then we get our, or we discussed having your index finger up here more, and that look, it's something you already were doing in that context. So either way, it just depends. There's a lot of situations where we won't have to strum. We'll be doing things where it'll be easy to use this grip, and then situations where maybe this makes sense. But in general, you probably just want to pick one and go with it. Aside from just this feels fun, I'm gonna do it with my thumb, which is a legit motivation. Anyway, so we get our, and then the first one is on the next one, so it gets really specific here between 2, 3, and 4 strings. And because I'm low on memory, I'm just gonna do that. So the time when he includes the second string is here, right there, and then we've got our 3 strings, 3 strings, 3 strings, 4 strings, and then that. So, which is a little bit unusual to do it that way. So there we are. That's where we're at. And then we've got this 6th octave again. And similar issues come up with having to mute this string as doing the same thing here. So it's kind of familiar, just there weren't other strings to hit. And again, structurally, here's where we are in our world. Figure Each festival and stuff out here. Noticing that you can totally go to those Figure Each notes with your ring finger and so forth. Those are just like, which dots do I hit? Awesome. So if you're going to play this in our home bass key, you're doing exactly the same shit at the 10th and 12th fret, but you just wouldn't be able to have the open string involvement. Rock and roll.